The most important thing as a parent is not to give your kids organic broccoli, it's to give them high self-esteem. And you do that by making them feel good about themselves, not excessively, but just loving them for who they are.
You're watching Young and Profiting Podcast on YouTube. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Hala Taha, and on Young and Profiting Podcast, we investigate a new topic each week and interview some of the brightest minds in the world. Before we get started, hit the subscribe button and don't forget to click the bell icon to be notified every time we drop a new video.
Hi, Marisa. Welcome to Young and Profiting Podcast. Okay, so you are really an exciting person that we are super looking forward to talking to because you are one of the most famous, therapists that are out there. You are the therapist. And we like to start back in the beginning. We like to start from people's childhoods. So from my understanding, you had a bit of a lonely childhood. You were one of the middle children. Your father was a headmaster or a principal. Your mother was sick quite often, and you ended up feeling really alone. So I'd love to start off with understanding what your childhood was like and how that built your mindset up as a young adult and how that impacted you as a young adult and the stories that you told yourself because of the way that you grew up.
Yeah, if you looked at my childhood from the outside, it looked amazing. We literally lived in a house with a white picket fence. My father was a head teacher, stroke principal. My mother was very beautiful. But that was on the outside. On the inside, it was a strange childhood. My father, bless his heart, because he was a good person, was just so interested in everyone else's kids. He was an amazing head teacher. He was one of those typical people where he was busy looking after everyone else's children, and we were sort of emotionally neglected, I guess. Now, my mother was another story. She was beautiful, completely unfulfilled. My father and her couldn't have been less suited if they tried. And she just was always sick. And I understood something very early in my childhood, because now I don't regret any of it, is that we pick a role. My mother picked the sick one. It met all her needs. My father picked the brilliant one. It met all his needs. And I became the caring one. I was always trying to get my parents to love me by tidying up the house, being good, being academic. My brother was also the brilliant one. And my little sister, was the cute, pretty one. So I guess I learned something very early, which is what I call foreplay, the 4 roles we play in order to belong. And there's only 4. You're either sick, you're brilliant, you're caring, or you're the very rebellious one, which my brother became later because you can change roles. And that stood me in great stead as a therapist, because I often say to my clients, look, which one are you? There's only 4. And they go, wow, I never knew that. I was the sick one, and my sister, I hated her, but now I see that she was the competitive one, and most therapists are the caring one. So that was interesting for me. And something else was very interesting. I had a grandmother that loved me. She thought I was a genius, and I realized something else. You need one person in your life to believe in you. If you have that one person, you'll be okay. And I often think I would have been a juvenile delinquent if I hadn't had my grandmother. So my childhood taught me a lot. It taught me something else too, which is that the most important words you'll ever hear come from yourself. And not so much in my childhood, but in my young adulthood, I learned something else, which is whatever is going on around you, you have to choose whether to let it in or not. So when I was only like 17 or 18, I remember being told, look, you can never have children. And you have to accept that. And I heard a voice in my head go, don't let that in. Do not let that in. That's not up to them. That's up to you. And that voice came back many years later when I was told I had cancer twice. And I heard the voice again going, don't let that in. That's not up to them. It's up to you. And they say things like, well, this is the terror time. And my doctor actually did this. He went, it has your address, it knows where you live, it's probably going to come back. And I thought, wow, what a thing to say. But I thought, no, you're not going to tell me that. I'm going to make a decision. And so my childhood wasn't horrible. I mean, I see people every day with the most dreadful, appalling, horrific childhood. My childhood was a middle class. We had a nice house, we had nice stuff, we got fed every day, we had heating, we had food, but it was an emotionally slightly neglected childhood. But I don't regret any of it because it made me, I guess, understand people. But I did it was a lonely childhood. I didn't feel special. I didn't feel smart. I didn't feel attractive. I didn't feel interesting. I didn't feel anything. But that also led me to what I now believe is the core of most people's problems, which is that I'm not enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm the head teacher's daughter. I'm supposed to be brilliant. I'm definitely not pretty enough. I'm not interesting enough. But I realized that I could change all of that by changing what I said to myself. And then I went from feeling like this geeky, freaky, hideous kid to someone who thought, no, I'm pretty good, actually. I'm smart, I'm interesting, I'm attractive. I understood, and I wish we were all taught this in schools, that the most important words you'll ever hear are your words. And you can't go through life going, hey, could you out there make me believe I'm attractive or interesting or worthy? We have to do it ourselves. So now I'm glad I had that childhood, because I learned what I teach other people. Do not give anyone else agency over your life or your thoughts or your beliefs. You make your beliefs, and then your beliefs turn right around and make you, and you get the choice of making your beliefs. But I get the most interesting thing from my childhood of all, though, was this scene that was played out. My mother tried to kill herself several times. She would throw herself down the stairs. She was in many ways hysterical. She was a lovely person, but she was so unfulfilled. And my father would just pick up his briefcase and go to work. And I remember thinking, oh, that's what you do. When you're in this crazy relationship, you need a great career because it fulfills you. And I remember thinking that. But my brother told me that he looked at that scene and thought, you never marry someone beautiful because they're hysterical. And my sister said she looked at it and thought, wow, you must marry someone who loves you more than you love them, and then they won't leave you. They won't pick up their briefcase and go to work. So 3 kids saw the same scene played out every week, but we each formed a different belief. I believed you need a great career. My brother believed don't marry anyone beautiful. My sister believed marry someone who loves you more than you love them. And that was probably one of my key learnings, that it isn't events that affect you. It's the interpretation you put on them, which you are free to change at any time. And so for years I had relationships that were deeply unfulfilling because I had a belief. Relationships go wrong. It was never if, it was always when. You need a great career for when they go wrong. And the day I changed that belief, everything changed. So I really believe that what happens doesn't affect you as much as what you believe about what happens, and yet your beliefs are yours to change.
Yeah, I think so many parts of that story are super interesting. The first one that's like my big takeaway is the fact that you said you just need one person to believe in you, and your grandmother was that one person for you. For me, it was my father. I mean, I was the black sheep growing up. All my siblings went to med school, and I was, everybody thought that I was going to be a failure trying to be in radio and all these things. And turns out I was completely fine, but I just didn't fit in with my family. And so I know what you mean. When you have that one person, it can really help push you along. What about if people don't have one person? What do they do if there's nobody who believes in them?
I guess you got to find that one person. I met a girl recently whose father was a drug dealer, whose sister drowned in the pool because and she said, I had a teacher. I used to go to school early in the morning and I hated the holidays, and that teacher believed in me. It's one of the reasons I became a therapist, because I wanted to be that person. And I have many kids who come in, suicidal teenagers, kids that are cutting themselves. And I would say, listen, I believe in you. You're smart. You've got something to offer the world. It's a real shame that your parents aren't on board with you. But, you come through your parents, not from them. If your life was like a clock, your childhood is only the first 5 or 10 minutes, and you've got all the rest of it. And you have to find someone that believes in you. We have a belief that it's always family, but it isn't. It could be a teacher, it could be a therapist, it could be a friend's parent. I have an amazing friend, and she's taken in other people's kids and raised them, and she's just the most extraordinary. She was adopted herself. And she really has a great heart for children. And so I believe that we have a whole tribe, and it's a matter of where can you find someone? Can you join a group? Can you find them? Maybe you can find an old person in your community who can be like your mother. People write to me and go, hey, you're like my mum. I feel like you're my mum. Give it, like, I love that, because actually I would have loved to have more children. I had one, and I'm thrilled with my daughter. She's amazing in every possible way. But I love the fact that I'm now mum to lots of people. So I think you have to, first of all, believe there is someone out there to believe in you, and then go out and find them. And I think what people do is they go, well, I need a wife, I need a husband, I need a girlfriend, a boyfriend. And we put all our energy into finding someone to love us. We try so hard to make someone love us, when in fact all you have to do is put the energy into loving yourself. Wake up every day, look in the mirror and go, hey, I matter. I'm amazing. I'm lovable. I'm enough. If you could say every day just these 4 phrases, I'm lovable, I'm enough, I matter, I'm significant, say it, say it, say it, because your mind will let it in. It doesn't care or even know if what you tell it is right or wrong. When you fill yourself up from the inside, then go out with that sense of, I matter, I'm worthy. You'll find lots of people who want to be in your life and support you and believe in you, but it's hard for someone else to believe in you when you don't believe in you. So the easiest thing in the world is take a minute and think about the words you'd love to hear. We all have a vision of someone going, oh, you're the one, you're everything, and start saying it to yourself. Start saying those words to yourself. It doesn't matter who says them, they sink in anyway. And then you'll go out in the world and find people who believe in you. But you have to also believe in you to make that happen.
Yeah. So when we're growing up, you know, a lot of people say negative things around us that end up shaping our own internal stories. Whether your parent might have said that you were a mistake, or that your parents seem stressed out or talk negatively to you. And then you grow up believing all these negative things about yourself. So to some of the new parents that are out there, how do you recommend that we stop this negative conditioning with our children?
Yeah, you know, it's the saddest thing of all, because when a parent is mean to the child, down on the child, hard on the child doesn't stop loving the parent. They immediately stop loving themselves, because the child is very simple. It's like, I'm nice to my mummy, so therefore she'll be nice to me, but she's not nice to me. She's shouting, she's angry, so it must be my fault. You know, children must idealize their parents. They don't have any choice. They understand innately, I'm here and I can't look after myself, so I got to make you love me, and then all my needs are met. And it's scary for a child to work out, oh, my mum's mentally ill, my dad's depressed, my mum's an alcoholic. And what the child does is they blame themselves. It's my fault dad's always at work. It's my fault mum's always crying. I got to be better. And they begin this huge effort to be perfect, which is impossible. So as a parent, understand that your children have to idealize you. And when you're hard on them, they blame themselves, and own it. Go up to them and go, you know, darling, today mummy was not nice, mummy. Today mummy was cross. Today daddy lost it. I'm so sorry. It was nothing to do with you. It was my little girl said to me one day, mummy, have you got your pyramid today? Because you're very cranky. Because I say, you know, darling, mummy wasn't nice today. Mummy had her period. It made me a bit cranky. I'm really sorry. It was not your fault. You're a great kid. And I would always own it and apologize. Not all the time, but I'd say, I'm sorry. Today I was a bit mean. Today I was distracted. One of my friends said, her little girl said, Mummy, can I have a meeting with you? Because you have meetings all the time, and I want to have a meeting with you. What she's saying is, can I spend some time with you? And then you have to say to your kid the thing they need to hear, you know, Mummy goes to work. And I love work, but I don't love work more than you. It's when you say, I've got to go to work to pay the bills because you're so expensive. You can say, I love my job, but I don't love anything more than you. And when you grow up, you'll love your job. And then when you have a fight, you go, you know, Mummy and Daddy had a fight today. But hey, kids fight. It doesn't mean we don't love you. And if you break up, you say, this is nothing to do with you. We love you so much. I found the thing for me was to say to my daughter, there's nothing you could do in the whole world ever that would stop me loving you. If you did something bad, I would be upset, but I will always love you. I will never, ever not love you. And as my daughter grew up, I had so many kids would turn up at my house. My mum's thrown me out because she found me smoking. My mum's kicked me out in the middle of the night because she discovered I was having sex with someone. And I'd always said, I will never, ever kick you out of the house, no matter what you do. If you go to jail, I'll come to visit you. Obviously, I didn't want her to go to jail. But I think children have to know that you're their safe place. And I also think it's really important not to make them like you. Hey, we're academic, why aren't you? We're sporty, why aren't you sporty? You know, you can't say to the kid, what's wrong with you? You're not supposed to give birth to yourself. Your children challenge you. I said to my daughter, hey, you know, you're my teacher because you're teaching me, because you're so different to me, and you're teaching me how to be with someone who isn't like me. And I was a single parent, and that's difficult because, I mean, in many ways it's wonderful, but it's also difficult because you don't have another person. When I'm having a bad day, my little girl didn't have another parent to go, oh, Mummy's just having a bad day, let you and I hang out. But it's a great thing to be a parent. You just have to understand that children are fragile and they get very damaged by shouting, screaming, and blaming. But they don't need to live in a perfect world. And as long as you can own it and say, this was nothing to do with you, you're great, you're amazing, you are a source of joy. It's my greatest pleasure to be your parent. Being your parent is my joy. It's amazing. I love raising you. And then say things like, you know, you're so funny, you're so interesting, you're so cute. I love you because you're you. So you can the most important thing as a parent is not to give your kids organic broccoli. It's to give them high self-esteem. And you do that by making them feel good about themselves, not excessively, but just loving them for who they are. And I can tell you, I had so many failures as a parent, so many. But you just got to pull it back and be great with your children. It's never too late to sit down and say, you know, I made so many mistakes. None of that was your fault. It was my fault. And you are the joy of my life. And I'm so glad I had you. And it really makes a difference.
Yeah. I've heard you say before that we can be our own parent. If we didn't have the parent that said the right things to us, or if our parents passed away or whatever it is, you can go and be your own parent. What do you mean by that? What can we do to kind of self-soothe?
Yeah. I actually believe two things. It's never too late to have a happy childhood, and it's never too late to be a parent to yourself. And again, I had very emotionally absent parents. But I began to understand what would I need from a parent. And, you know, what you need from a parent is reassurance. I love you. You're amazing. I'm so glad I had you. You're smart. You're interesting. My world is a better place just because you're in it. So again, think of the words you want to hear. And it's very simple. Start saying them over and over and over again, because again, the mind doesn't go, what were you saying that? It doesn't count. You know, if you put lotion on your skin, your mind doesn't go, hey, is that lotion from Prada? It must be really good. Or did you get it free on a plane? In which case it's rubbish. It lets the lotion in, and lotion nourishes dry skin. And I believe that words are a lotion for a chapped soul. And that when you say the right words, they sink in. They do the most amazing things. Words can heal. You know, you've heard that thing, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That's so wrong. Words can be so damaging, but also incredibly healing. So being a parent to yourself means saying what you want to hear. I was never told I was smart. In fact, I was told that I would never. My parents told me to become a nanny because they thought I was so lacking in intelligence. Nothing wrong with being a nanny, by the way. But because I was also told I could never have children, I thought, oh, that's a great job for me. I'll be a nanny because I can't have children and I'm not very bright. And that's a good job. And now I think, wow, I'm so glad another voice in my head went, no, you can do something better. So be a loving parent to yourself every day, and that simply means imagining what you want to hear. It's what I call the missing bit of you. What are the words you'd love to hear? And don't go searching for someone else to put them in you, because that makes you needy. Put them into yourself. I always wanted to hear I was the favorite, and I was my grandmother's favorite. But I began to say one day as an experiment, I'm the favorite. I'm my parents' favorite. It was very peculiar because I really wasn't. My sister was my mother's favorite, and my brother was my father's favorite. My mum loved the cute, pretty last little baby, and my dad loved having a son. And my son went to a private school, and I didn't because I wasn't smart. But when I said it, well, what was so amazing to me was how quickly it became. All of a sudden, my father was like honing me like a laser, going, "Oh, you're amazing, and I'm so proud of you." And I thought, wow, it's almost scary how fast this works. And then I realized that actually I didn't really like that, because my father and mother both started to hone in on me more than my brother and sister. So I stopped saying that and thought, I don't actually need it. And when my father began to say the things I'd wanted to hear my whole life, "I'm so proud of you, you've done so well," I thought, isn't this weird? I've wanted this forever. Now I've got it. It's like, oh, I don't even need it because I've done it myself. I don't need my father to say it because I've said it to myself. And so if you've heard your mother or father say, you were a mistake, we wanted a girl and you were the fourth boy, or vice versa, we really wanted a boy and you were the fifth girl, start saying, I was meant to be the fifth girl. I'm supposed to be a girl in here. And my parents are thrilled that I'm the fifth girl. Even if it's not true, keep saying it. My parents are so proud of me. My parents are so supportive. Even if it's not true, you may find that they change. But even if they don't, it won't matter, because it will be that balm for your soul that is so powerful.
Yeah, I think that is such incredible advice. So let's talk about how you built up your confidence, because from my understanding, you were pretty insecure growing up. You mentioned before you felt lonely, you felt unattractive, you were told you couldn't have children at a young age. That probably was a big blow to your self-esteem, especially back then when, women were just supposed to get married and have kids. So you probably felt insecure about that. Turned out to not even be true. So how did you rebuild your confidence? What was the turning point in your life?
I definitely felt less than. I felt less interesting, less attractive, less everything. And I don't know the turning point. I just began to say the words I needed to hear. I went to college. I was asked to leave college. My father was devastated by that, but I actually wasn't. I thought it was a great thing. And I ended up going to LA and teaching aerobics for Jane Fonda. I was a bit of a renegade by then. I started off being the real caring kid, and then I became slightly rebellious, like, well, I'm just going to do what I want. And I loved teaching aerobics for Jane Fonda, but that was also a turning point because I saw all these amazing women, famous, beautiful, stunning women who'd go, oh, well, I've got fat ankles or a bit of fat on my knees, and they were so down on themselves. And I think I understood again, wow, they're all believing that if I had a perfect body, if my hair was perfect, and they were perfect, I would be happy. And that was another example of, wow, they're looking outside of themselves. I just need to be 5 pounds lighter. I just need bigger breasts, smaller thighs. I've got to have big hair and a small butt, but I seem to have a big butt and thin hair, so therefore I don't count. And it was seeing how people were so hard on themselves and realizing that the answer was to go, magazines say big hair, thin thighs, but I've got big thighs and thin hair, so I don't count. Yes, you do. You've got to start just loving who you are. And I think what I also saw then was women who decided, I hate my body, so I'm going to punish it. I'm going to starve it. I'm going to deprive it of food. I'm going to force it to work out really hard for a long time. And it never worked. What worked was going, well, I love this body. Yeah, I got big thighs. I love them. I've got a big butt. I love my big butt. I love everything about myself. And it was this seeing how if you could love your body and go, I love all the things it does, that it would change. I love my body, so I'm not going to fill it with donuts and garbage. I'm going to give it good food. And it was really this turning point of, wow, when you can love who you are, you start to treat yourself with respect. But when you come at it from self-hatred, it doesn't make you change. It makes you hate yourself more. One of the fascinating things about the mind is whatever you look for, you will find whatever you focus on, you get more. So when you start to look for the flaws, I got cellulite, or I don't have a six-pack, I don't have a great job, I don't have a great car. When you look for that, you find, well, when you look for what's great, wow, I do have a little fat tummy, but my partner loves that. I do have not perfect skin, but who cares? It's really important to love all the things your body does. And when you fall in love with yourself, sounds very arrogant, but it isn't. It's a lifelong romance. It never forgets your birthday. It never disappoints you. You don't have to wax everything off, snip things off, inject things in. There's nothing to be taken away or added to make you love you. And falling in love with yourself is easy. It just starts with saying, you're a great person. You're nice. You're kind. You're warm. No one goes, hey, I love you because you got thin thighs. They go, I love you because you're a good person, because you're funny, you're compelling, you're interesting. No one ever says, I love you because your skin is perfect. And if they did, well, who wants to be with someone like that? So it's so important to love ourselves, to help our kids love ourselves, and to get away from this self-hatred, forcing your body to be something else, forcing you to be someone else, forcing yourself to be what other people want, rather than just going, hey, I'm me, and if you love me, that's great. If you don't, well, that's okay, because I love me. Because when you become someone else to make someone love you, which I did a lot when I was growing up, I pretended to be this really confident, sparky person, which really wasn't me at all. But then when someone loves you, you think, yeah, but they don't even know who I am. I've played a whole game here. I've faked all of this, and now I don't know how to show this person who I really am. But when you start from who you really are, I'm a flawed person, and I'm going to have a great flawed relationship with another flawed person, because that's the best. You can never be a flawed person having flawed relationships with flawed people. And it's so, you can actually start to breathe out and you go, yeah, I'm not perfect, neither are my friends or my partner, but I'm having a great time because people love me, not the me I think I got to pretend to be to get through life.
I think what you're saying is super important. It's so important to speak positively to yourself, to boost yourself up, to love yourself, and not to try to find love in other people. I think all the advice that you're giving is so great. So I know that when you were working at Jane Fonda's fitness center, you met a pioneer in hypnotism. And I don't know if it's a him or a her, Gil Boyne, I believe is a him. What did you learn from him? And what is hypnotherapy for people who may not know?
Hypnotherapy is, people think it's about going to sleep. It's actually a sleep of the nervous system. You have a subconscious mind and a conscious mind, and the subconscious runs the show. And, we keep trying to make these changes constantly. Imagine if you're scared of dogs, terrified of dogs. You need to remember the little tiny chihuahua in their arms. Go, this is a little cute thing, and look, it's so lovely, and I'm holding it, and it will never hurt you. That's all logic, but the emotion is, no, that dog's going to bite me and attack me. So fears are emotional. Here's a rule of the mind. In a battle between logic and emotion always, always, always wins. And so hypnosis doesn't do logic changing. Let's talk about your feelings. Oh, you're scared of mice. Let's maybe draw a picture, or talk about mice and understand mice, or indeed spiders. Because logic doesn't work. The emotional mind is going to run the show. And so what hypnosis does is takes you back to a place in time when you acquired a fear, show you what was going on, and then change the perception. You were talking a bit before about language, so was I. And here's the thing, you can choose to be negative and you can choose to be positive, but what you cannot choose is the damage you do to your body when you use negative language. My job is killing me. This kid is driving me insane. My partner makes me want to kill myself. I'm the size of a house. I've got a butt the size of a continent. We say these crazy things and don't understand that the subconscious mind is always listening. It's always on record, and it believes everything you tell it. So when you say, oh, if one more person goes and I'm going to kill myself, the subconscious mind believes, oh, you're going to kill yourself if one more person dumps you. My job is to keep you alive, so I'm just going to turn you into a really cold-hearted, solitary person, and now you can never be dumped. When you say to the subconscious, this commute is going to be the death of me, your mind goes, you know what? Why don't I give you chronic diarrhea, panic attacks, because I can't have you go on that commute that you keep saying is killing you. So we really need to understand the subconscious mind is emotional, not logical, and to realize that when we say these things like, oh, I'm losing my shit, I people say that all the time. It's such a crazy expression because it's not true, but your mind starts to believe it's true. I met this amazing doctor who said, you know, my favorite expression, is very British, was, this is doing my head in. It's doing my head in, it's doing my head. Because I got a brain tumor. And I knew that it was what I was saying. And then somebody wrote to me and said, you know, I listen to you talking, and what I say every day is, I just can't stand it. I can't stand it when my kids don't put the lids on jars. I can't stand it when my husband leaves his clothes all over the floor. And the arches of my feet had collapsed, and I was in immense pain. And I stopped saying those words immediately. And guess what happened? My foot arches just went back to normal. How weird is that? Well, that's actually not weird, because your mind uses your words to work out what's going wrong. You know, I've had many people say, oh, you know, this is getting on my nerves and it's driving me crazy. And then they say, and I've got itchy skin or irritable bowel or chronic digestion. And we see a lot of autoimmune diseases now where the body is turning on itself. And a lot of people will think I'm crazy for saying this, but I believe that this self-hatred we have of ourselves, this belief that I've got to look like someone in a magazine, which is all airbrushed and not real. If you go through this wait, I'm looking there, go, oh, look at this state of me, look at my hair, look at my skin, I look terrible, I look old or tired. It isn't surprising that when you're practicing self-hatred, you might just get an autoimmune disease. And before you dismiss that out of hand, doctors now say that 70% of patients turning up at A&E have real physical problems that are caused by diseased thinking. So many of our modern issues, the panic attacks, the anxiety, are not that your organ is diseased, but your thinking is diseased. You know, we think we're machines with broken parts, but we're people with broken experiences. And so hypnosis is, I think, the most profound way of going back and saying, let's take a look at this. I mean, I'll give you a great example. I met a girl, I met her online because she couldn't leave the house because she had this hypersensitivity to daylight, to sunlight. Any UVA rays would burn her skin. And so she was condemned to staying in the house. She was a coach, she worked from home, and she could only go out at night. And that was a horrible life for her, but she wasn't born like that. And when we went back and had a look at when this began, she said, oh, I was being really bullied at school. And I said to my mum, I don't want to go to school anymore. My mum said, don't be ridiculous. You have to go to school. I hate my job. I got to go to work. You got to go to school. Suck it up. And I asked her again, I said, Mum, I'm being really badly bullied. Please, can I stay home? And she said, no. And she said, you know, I long to stay at home. It seems so seductive to stay at home. And then I got this skin issue and I couldn't leave the house. And so what's so interesting is your mind is like the genie and your wish is that someone, when a child goes, I'd never want to leave the house. I want to stay at home. I don't want to leave the house. The mind goes, okay. That's a direct request. In fact, it's a command, and my job is to make that real. So now I'm going to create a way of you never leaving the house. That's an extreme example. We've all done this thing where we go, oh, God, what I'd give for a week lying around on the sofa doing nothing. And lo and behold, we get the flu. We've often said things like, oh, I'm dreading next Wednesday. I've got to give a presentation or a speech. I'm taking this exam. And as next Wednesday comes along, we wake up with chronic diarrhea or the flu or a headache because our mind listens and acts to the words we tell it. And all you have to do is change the words. Next Wednesday, got a meeting. just challenging, but I'm going to be amazing. I know what to say. I'm really good at my job. This commute is a challenge, but hey, I can listen to great audiobooks. I can take time for myself. And my problem, this commute to work on the 405 freeway, someone else's fantasy dream come true. My kid keeps me up, and like someone on the other side of the world would give anything to have a kid like that, and it doesn't last long. So you got to stop the negative and accentuate the positive, and then your mind doesn't think, wow, you keep saying, this job's killing me, my kid's driving me crazy, now I've got unexpected, I can't have another kid. Because you keep telling your mind it's killing you. So be aware of how you talk to yourself and understand that although you're choosing the negative, you're not able to choose how that impacts your health. Change your dialogue, change the way you talk to yourself, change the words you use. And it really does change everything. Just something as simple as changing nervous to excited. I'm terrified. I'm excited. This is a nightmare. This is a challenge. This is killing me. This is stretching me. This is driving me insane. Oh, my kid's just age appropriate. They're awake all night. When they're 15, I'll wish they were home in bed keeping me up. They leave smeary peanut butter stains all over the counter, but in 10 years they won't even be here, and I wish they were. So just look at the words you use and change them, because it really does change everything. And it's easy, and it's free, and it's kind of almost instant too.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, this is such good stuff, Marisa. I'm really enjoying this conversation. So let's stick on mindset a bit. Let's talk about affirmations, which you actually don't call them affirmations. You call them, I think, truth statements or statements of truth. So why don't you call them affirmations? What's wrong with that word?
There's nothing wrong with affirmations, except many of my clients are going to go, hey, I've got an affirmation. I've got a little poster, and it says, life is a beautiful walk in the park and the sun is always shining. And that's actually not true. Sometimes, the sun isn't shining and you tread in dog mess and it's not what you think it is. And I think statements of truth should be about you. You see, the words that follow I am follow you. And so a statement of truth is say I am and then go I am positive, I am lovable, I am worthy, I am enough, I am an amazing person, I have something incredible to offer the world. We present something to the mind and it turns around and presents it right back. So when the words that follow I am are I am inadequate, I am useless, I am a failure, I am not enough. You present that and then sadly you become it. And so statements of truth are really, what do you want to say about yourself? And it's not an affirmation, it's the truth. Here's the truth about you. You're amazing. You're unique. There's no one else in the world. You have something amazing to offer the world. Even if you don't know it, you have a gift. You're meant to be here. You're meant to be you exactly the way you are. And so when you can begin to go, I am. I love this story about Meryl Streep. She went up for the part in King Kong that Jessica Lange was given. And after her audition, the director said, Meryl, I'm going to tell you the truth. You're not pretty enough for this part. And you're never going to make it in the movies. And you need to go home and do something else. And she said, you know what? That's your opinion. In a sea of opinions, I think I'll go away and find a better opinion. And I love that about her, because when he said no, she said, I'm not letting that in. And if you ever saw one of my favorite films, Out of Africa, where Robert Redford was washing her hair in the bath, she looked so beautiful in that. But being a great actress is not about just being beautiful. And I love the fact that when he said no, she didn't let that in. So he had a statement of truth, and she said, oh, I got a different statement of truth. I am going to be a phenomenal actress. Someone said to Naomi Campbell, Naomi, you'll never get on the cover of Vogue. That door is shut to black models. She said, shut? I'll kick it open. And that's a statement of truth. It's like, it's not your statement. It's my statement. The director's story was that Meryl wasn't pretty enough. the Vogue story was that a black girl couldn't be on the cover. But that was their story. It wasn't your story. Your mother didn't love you. That's her story. It's not your story. Your story is you're amazing. My parents' story was our son is amazing and our daughter's a disappointment. But that wasn't my story. That was their story. So that was their statement of truth. It wasn't mine. It was for a while. And I thought, well, I'm going to have a different statement. I'm amazing, got something to offer the world, and I'm here for a reason. And so a statement of truth is, don't pick up someone else. When some person goes, oh, I don't love you anymore, you're not what I want, that's their story. It's not your story. Your story is, well, that's your loss. I'm amazing. And so many people go, yeah, I was dumped. And their story is that I wasn't enough for that person. But the real story is everything they loved in you once is still in you. They didn't pack it in their bag when they left and took it with them. So don't make someone else's story your story. Your dad left before you were born. That's his loss. That doesn't mean you're not amazing and incredible and meant to be here. So the statement of truth is not making someone else's story your story. It's deciding what you want to hear and saying it as a statement of truth. So when you say it with unshakable conviction. You say it with certainty. You don't just write, I'm enough, on a little Post-it note and stick it on your fridge. You read it, you say it, you go, I am enough. And you say it in a way that's convincing and powerful. You use that unshakable, unwavering conviction and certainty in your voice. So if you want to believe something about yourself, make it a statement of truth. Own it, say it, affirm it, state it. Because what's so amazing is that when you do it so quickly, it stops being what you say and it really becomes who you are. I've been a therapist my entire adult life. And I've had people come up who don't have a voice, can't speak, are always crying. And in half an hour, almost a different person. They go, wow, I never knew that I could hold my head up and say, I matter, I'm significant, I'm lovable, and I'm enough. And it would become real. So that's why I call it statements. I find affirmations are not always, but they can be wishy-washy. The sun's every day in every way I'm getting better and better is an affirmation, but that's very vague. What does that even mean? A statement of truth is every day I wake up knowing I matter. I feel great about who I am. I've got a purpose. I'm here for a reason. Don't know what that is, but I know I'm going to find it and live my best life. So I think statements are just more powerful and more clear than affirmations. Affirmations can be clear. Sometimes they're not. Yeah. I don't believe in them. I just prefer statements.
Yeah, I think what you're saying is brilliant. And I want to, of course I studied for this interview. And as I was listening to some of your rules and guidance when it comes to speaking to yourself, there were some rules that I kind of wrote down. So being super repetitive, making sure you're in the present tense, using really exciting and descriptive words when it comes to our statements of truth. So could you talk to us about the right way and the wrong way that we should do this? Because I want to make sure that people have the knowledge to actually implement this in their lives.
Yeah. I think I created like 22, 26 rules of your mind. You can find them on YouTube because you see, we're all told this lie. The mind is so complicated. It's incredibly complex. It takes a lifetime to understand your mind. No, it doesn't. The mind isn't complex. It's actually incredibly simple. It does what it thinks you want it to do. So when you understand the rules of your mind, you can put them into practice. And here's a rule that we should all remember. Every word you speak is a blueprint that your mind, body, and psyche work to make real. So how do you understand the mind? Very simply, the mind only works in the present tense. It's like a kid who doesn't understand what tomorrow is. You can't say to the mind, next year I'll be a millionaire, next year I'll have a beach body, next year I'll find love, because the mind doesn't know what next year is. So you have to make your statements today. I'm becoming super lovable right now. I'm becoming wealthy right now. I'm becoming successful. I am successful. So it must be in the present tense. That's really important. And secondly, your words must make a clear picture. I'm okay, I'm not bad, life is good. That's not dynamic. I am magnetically lovable. I go out in the world and I have this magnetic lovability. I attract people that love me and I love them. So the words must be really, really exciting and very descriptive. It's not enough to go, I'm okay, I'm not bad, and it's definitely not good to go, I'm not fat. I'm not insecure. I'm not nervous, because the mind only picks up words that make a picture. I don't eat cake. I don't want cake. I'm not interested in cake is making you think about cake. I'm not nervous in front of clients. I'm not scared of selling. I'm not anxious about presenting. You're picking up the words nervous and anxious, so you have to flip that around and go, I am a phenomenal seller. I give amazing presentations. When I speak at work, everyone understands what I'm saying. They like me. They listen to me. I ask questions. I answer them. My boss loves me. They're noticing the power of me. So present tense, really exciting words, descriptive words. Your words must be relevant, up to date, and descriptive. And put words in front of, I'm freaking awesome. I'm powerfully good at speaking. I'm amazingly, magnetically lovable. Make it exciting, dramatic, dynamic, in the present tense. And the reason I emphasize that, I see so many people who go, I now tell them I'm not scared. I'm not scared of speaking. I'm no longer going red and blushing and stuttering over words. You have to do the opposite. I speak clearly. I pronounce words easily. I breathe correctly. My energy level is phenomenal. And, it's not hard to dialogue with your mind when you understand the rules. It must be in the present tense. It must make a picture. It must excite and turn on your mind. And once you get that, it becomes easy. And it must be repetitive. The mind learns by repetition. And make what is unfamiliar familiar. So if it's unfamiliar to believe in yourself, make it familiar, because here's a rule of the mind. The mind loves what is familiar and would like to run back to what's familiar and run away from what is unfamiliar. That's a fact. But here's another fact. You can make anything you like familiar. And if you make believing in yourself and growing your self-esteem familiar, then you're making not believing in yourself unfamiliar. And it doesn't take long at all to make self-belief familiar. Just praise yourself. There is nothing on the planet that will grow your self-esteem like self-praise. Praise actually grows your self-esteem in any way. But if I say to someone, oh, you're so great, I love you, you're amazing, I may have an agenda. I may want something from them. But when I say it to myself, there's no agenda except growing self-esteem. And self-esteem means, after all, what I think of me. If I say I hold you in the highest esteem, it's what I think of you. But self-esteem is what you think of you. And you can grow that. It's not arrogance. It's not being big-headed. It's that kind of quiet assurance that radiates and that makes other people think, oh, I feel great in your company. There's just something about you. So like yourself, like other people, grow your self-esteem. It will make you so much happier, and it will make you a healthier, better person too.
Yeah. Something that you just said sparked my interest, and that's when somebody gives you a compliment. What's the right way and the wrong way to treat a compliment so that we can expand our minds instead of contract it?
Yeah. I'm so glad you asked that, because here's the thing. We want to expand. We want to expand out. The mind, you have an incredible potential, and you have no idea what your potential is, because your potential expands. And as you meet it, it expands more and more and more. And when your mind expands to a new dimension, it never goes back. So imagine someone says, oh, I love that talk you gave. And you went, oh, it's terrible. Didn't you notice? I said the word wrong. I stumbled. I went over time. I got bright red. Now you're diminishing it. If someone gave you a gift, you would accept it. So when someone praises you, say thank you. If someone says to me, hey, I love your book, I say, thank you so much. I wrote it for that reason. I don't go, oh, actually, it really wasn't very good, and it's had some terrible reviews, and it's not actually doing that well. Do not diminish praise. When someone praises you, say thank you. And even better, once you got used to saying thank you, add to it, hey, I love your jacket. I go, oh, I've had it for 10 years, got it in Target, it's got a hole in it. Say, thanks, I love it too. It's my favorite, it's my favorite color. So the first thing is, do not reject praise. When I go to Spain a lot, and I notice when the waiter comes up and I say, thank you, they go, no, nada, don't mention. I go, no, mention it. When someone says thank you, accept it. So the first thing is accept it. The second thing is add to it. Go, I'm so glad. One of my clients was a movie director. So I love your movie. He said it was terrible. I said, well, you've got great reviews. No, it was all. It won an Oscar. There were no good nominations. I said, but your second movie was, oh, even worse nominations that year. I said, oh, you're somebody who can't let in praise. I want you to say when I go, I love your movie, thank you so much. I loved making that movie. This was somebody who was suicidal, who could not let in praise. And although it sounds almost too good to be true, making him say thank you. I love making movies. It gives me pleasure, gives other people pleasure, is important. The second thing is if someone comes up and goes, hey, I loved your talk. Don't go, yeah, I loved yours too. Because now you're giving it back. Say thank you so much. Let it in. And maybe after 5 or 10 minutes, go, by the way, I also happen to love your talk. If someone says, I love your shoes, don't go, I love yours. That sounds normal, but no, because you're giving it back. You want to expand and not contract. When you're expanding and someone says, I love your business. I love the products you make. I love something. I love your hair. Don't go, oh, no, my hair, I haven't washed it for a week, because now you're contracting. And also when you go, yeah, I love your hair, you're also contracting, expand. When someone says, I hear you're an amazing seller, and you go, well, not really, it was just a fluke. There's a much better seller in our company, but he was sick that week. You're contracting, expand into greatness by seeing praise as a gift. You wouldn't go, oh, I don't want that gift, let me give it back. Thank you so much is the first step. And then add to it, yeah, I love selling. Apparently I'm really good at it because I really like it. And don't say, but you're also good at selling. That's how you expand and not contract. We all want to keep expanding. And praise yourself, but also praise other people. You know, when I'm in a store, I love saying to the checkout person, oh, I love your voice, or your nails are really nice, or you smell lovely, or thank you so much. I love going around the world praising people, saying you did a great job, or oh, your kid is so lovely, you're a great parent, because it builds people up. But there's no point in doing that if you're not also doing it to yourself. So praise will boost your self-esteem, and criticism will wither it. So let in praise yourself, and don't let in criticism.
I love that. Would you say that there's any chance that somebody can be overconfident? Because there's a whole movement now where people want to be humble, and I'm somebody who's very confident. I've been studying law of attraction for a long time, and so I feel no problem to praise myself and accept compliments, but then sometimes I think people take it as arrogance. So how do we make sure that we don't come across as arrogant, and can we be overconfident?
Well, you see, arrogance is trying to convince someone else. I'm amazing me. I'm better than you. I'm smart. I've got a better education than you. I got more than you. You see, if this was a little seesaw, this is where we start off. But an arrogant person believes that actually this is you, this is them. The arrogant person sees life like that. And they have to diminish you and elevate themselves for that to happen, but they really want that to happen. So an arrogant person is not confident. Confident people don't brag. They don't go, hey, I've got more money than you. My job's better than yours. My car is better than yours. A confident person isn't a bragger. They're not a show-off. They just have that confidence themselves. I'm okay at this. And so arrogance is just the other end of the scale of insecurity. I'm insecure, and I need you to make me feel better. I'm insecure, so I'm going to brag and show off and convince you that I'm amazing because I don't really think I am. But right in the middle of the arrogant insecure is what I call honoring yourself. Telling yourself things, but you don't walk around going, I'm great, me, I'm amazing. You just at home or in your head say, I'm okay, I'm doing a great job, I've got something to offer the world. I loved it when Snoop Dogg said, I'm going to congratulate myself here. I have worked really hard, so while I'm thanking everyone else, why don't I thank myself? And I thought that wasn't arrogance. And I've seen many other people when we were giving certificates at my last RTT training in London. I've got one coming up in Berlin very soon, but when people were coming up to get their certificate as an RTT, those are going, oh, thank the teachers, the students. We want to go, I want to thank myself because I have worked so hard. I've saved up, I've worked hard, I've given this everything I've got, and I've got this qualifications, and I'm going to thank myself. And I loved that. That wasn't arrogant. She did it in such a lovely way. So you can't be overconfident. That's that fake it till you make it, because real confidence isn't fake. It's saying, oh, you're having a problem with your computer. I'm really good at computers. I can fix it. Oh, you got a headache? I'm really good at massaging pressure points and I could help you. Oh, you're having problems with it. Let me help you. This is my gift. I'm good at this, but no one's good at everything. So confidence is not showing off. It's that quiet self-assurance. You know, many years ago, my previous partner had cancer and he went to see his own oncologist and he came back and he said, well, he's going to do his best. And I knew that those very words were not. I said, let me take you to the best prostate cancer doctor. He said, I don't want to see him. I said, no, he's just going to see him. And he said, I happen to be the best prostate cancer doctor in Europe, and I'm going to make you better. You're going to live. He said, oh, the other guy said he was going to try. I said, no, we don't try. We do. Under my hand, this is a walk in the park. We'll remove it. You're going to be great. Your life will be normal. You're going to live until you're 92. Was that arrogance? He said it in such a nice way. If you go to the school and they go, well, our gift is to take your kid and to give you back in a couple of years a really rounded person, smart, confident, outgoing, happy. And, oh, yeah, that's so arrogant. I think I'll find a different teacher who says, well, we do the best we can, but, you know, there's no guarantees. Who wants to go to a doctor who says, well, I do the best, but, you know, who knows? It's a lottery here dealing with your illness. When people say, I have got an ability to heal you, help you, sort this out. You know, if I said to somebody, my washing machine's leaking, can you fix it? And they go, oh, yes, we're the best washing machine fixers in LA and we can be there in an hour. I don't want someone who goes, well, I'll try, but who knows? So confidence is that reassurance in who you are and what you have to offer, but also recognizing that other people are also good at things. There's many things I can't do. I love giving jobs. I have a girl who works with me called Rosie, who is the most amazing writer, much better than me. And I give her all our writing jobs because that's her gift. She's extraordinary. So a confident person doesn't go, I'm good at everything. They go, no, actually, that's not my gift. I'm not really good at it. Even Nigella Lawson, who's an amazing cook, said, not really good at playing with children. I like cooking, but never been good at that. When people say I'm good at everything, that's arrogance. When they say my gift is X and someone else's gift is Y, like my husband is amazing at marketing. I'm not interested in him. He's amazing at cooking. He loves wandering around shops looking at food and different spices. I'm not interested in that at all, but I love that. That's his gift. It's certainly not mine. But you're only supposed to have one. So confident people do have a degree of humility as well. And they also celebrate other people's wins. You know, natural leaders, they celebrate everyone else's wins. They make people feel part of a team. And so if someone is arrogant, I can promise you that is not a confident person at all.
I love that. I think that's so true. So I wanted to get into a quick fire segment. I know that you have some dangerous habits that you talk about, which could lead us to lose our success. So I was thinking I could rattle off a dangerous habit, and then you could give us some advice to counteract that dangerous habit. Does that sound okay?
Sounds amazing.
Okay, cool. So dangerous habit number 1, waiting for perfection.
Yeah, you see, waiting perfection is you've entered a race. Here's the race. Here's the finishing line. And as you run towards it, it moves and it moves and it moves. And when you enter a race to be perfect, you can never even complete it. There is no perfect. Nature doesn't allow that. Stop trying to be perfect. You can certainly perfect your craft, but I could say, as a speaker, I'm always learning. As a writer, I'm always learning. We are in that, it's like that constant and never-ending improvement, but don't try to be perfect. People who try to be perfect are the unhappiest, but they're also the loneliest, because guess what? We don't like perfect people. They seem to shine so bright that we feel somewhat inadequate in their light. So please don't try to be perfect. Just be you. There's no prize for being perfect. It's a lonely world when you're perfect, because we're all flawed, we're all imperfect. And actually our imperfections make us very, very endearing. We go, you know, I love it that my partner's got a little tummy, because I can have one too. I love the fact that my mum isn't perfect. I don't have to be perfect. I love the fact that my father left my mother, because when I wanted to leave college, I could go back and go, hey, Dad, you know, I know you want me to stay, but you know how you had to leave my mum, no matter what? That's how I feel about leaving college. I have to leave. And I was so glad I had a flawed parent, because it allowed me to be flawed myself. So rather than try to be perfect, celebrate your flaws. It makes you human. And that's a wonderful thing.
Love that. Okay. Dangerous habit number 2, doubting yourself.
I mean, yeah, it's okay to doubt yourself. Let's imagine you're going to be a speaker and you go, well, you know, I need to learn. So I need to learn. When I was first given a TED talk, I was the opener for TED, and they said, you must finish in 18 minutes. Those were 15. You must be finished in 18. So I had to practice that and thought, I've got to get really used to this speech so it starts and ends in 18 minutes. And I hadn't done that before, and it was very good for me to time it and get it just right. So if a little bit of self-doubt makes you think, hey, I'm going to go for this job, but I need to learn more, that's okay. But the negative is I'm going to give a presentation. I know I'm going to mess it up. I know I'm going to go bright red. I'm going to open my mouth and go, and sound like an idiot. Don't do that. Say things like, I've got this. I can do it. This is amazing. Many years ago, I just literally had a baby a week before, and I was going to do this television show, and I'd recorded everything I needed to say on a cassette tape. That's how long ago it was. And I got in the car, and I pressed rewind, and I drove there, and I suddenly thought, oh my God, I forgot to play it. I was listening to the radio. I thought, well, you know what? That's a sign I don't need it. If I didn't play it back, I guess I don't need it. It's going to be just great. So when you say, well, this is going to be great, I may not be prepared, but it's okay. I can do this. I've got this. This has got my name all over it. I want it. I love it. I've chosen it, and I've chosen to feel great about it. I find the magic words are, I want this. I want it. I've chosen it. I love it, love it, love it. That will smash out self-doubt for you, and that's a wonderful thing.
I love that. Okay. Dangerous bad habit number 3, procrastinating and self-sabotaging.
Well, you see, I see people all the time. I've been a therapist for 30 years. I created RTT. We've trained 10,000 therapists all over the world. And you'd be amazed when people come in with self-doubt and self-sabotage. And that is nothing more than the fear of rejection. Our innermost, most profound fear is rejection. If you reject me, I'll die. And actually, it wasn't that long ago that was true. We had to live in a tribe. So if you are a self-saboteur, if you procrastinate, say, I'm doing this because I'm scared of rejection. If I don't do the work, if I don't write that presentation, if I don't work on my website all weekend and put it off, and then it never gets built, then when my business fails, I go, well, you know what? It's because I never built that website. If I sabotage myself, it's to stop myself feeling that I'm not enough. And all of those habits stem from the real fear of rejection. But here's the truth. The only person who can reject you is you. So you could go, okay, I'm writing a book. It might fail. I don't know. But I'm giving it everything I've got. And if it doesn't get picked up, well, at least I wrote it. I did everything. That's better than saying, I could have written a book. I should have done, but I never did. Or I started, never finished. So procrastination and self-sabotage are really nothing more than a fear of being rejected. The only person who has the real power to reject you is you. I've had manuscripts sent back many times, as so did J.K. Rowling, but you just pick it up and send it back again until someone accepts it. And if they never do, you go, well, I tried that. Wasn't meant to be. And then I moved on to something else. So you can stop sabotage by the way you talk to yourself. You can stop procrastination almost immediately by going, I want this. I've chosen to give it my all. That's what I've chosen. Because when you say that, your mind goes, oh, right, you do have a choice. And you're choosing to give it your all. But when you go, oh, I'm dreading it. It's so boring writing. I hate spending all my weekends putting together my business. Your mind goes, you know what? I think there's a sock drawer that needs really sorting out here, because you're telling your mind, I don't want to do this. And when you go, I want it, I love it, I love it, even when it's not true, it becomes true. So that is the magic word for saboteurs. I want it, I love it, I've chosen to feel great about it, and I'm on it right now.
I think that's great. This one is really important, especially in the day of social media. So dangerous habit number 4, comparing ourselves to others.
Yeah. We have this whole thing, which I find so sad. We decide we are something to do with the numbers, the weight on the scales, the number in my clothes, the number in my bank account, the number on my birth certificate, the number. So how many followers have I got? How many likes have I got? And we're now judging ourselves by numbers. You are not a number. You are not your years, your weight, your shape, your size. You are not your followers. Do not allow yourself to believe that matters. What matters are the people in your life who love you. Our happiest moments are always our interactions with others. And interactions on social media are very nice, but they're not real. I mean, I can say that having people who are so lovely to me on social media and say, oh, I love you. Somebody said to me once, you're the only person in my whole world that says something nice to me every day. And I loved that. But that was a shame that person didn't have somebody in the flesh who did that. But maybe by hearing me say it, she could believe she was worthy and go out and find real flesh and bone people to do that too. So don't allow yourself to believe that you are the number of your followers, that is real. The social media world is not real. It's quite fake. You may have 1,000 followers. When you have the flu, are they turning up with chicken soup and some orange juice? I don't think so. So don't be deluded. It's great to have it. I've got lots of followers. They're lovely. I love having them. They make me feel great about myself. But I also understand that if I have a bad day, it's my husband, my daughter, my sister, my wonderful friends are turning up to say, when I was sick, it was my friends who turned up in hospital to boost me up. And we got to really realize that it's real people that you can hug and hold hands with. And I sometimes take on parents who say, you know what, yeah, I read my daughter a story every night on Zoom. I'm like, no, you need to be there. It's okay if you're traveling, but every night, I mean, that's not quality time. You can't, if someone said, hey, we'll have a date on Zoom, you go, well, that's not the same. I don't want to date on Zoom. And if you wouldn't date on Zoom, don't believe you can parent on Zoom. It's in addition to, it's not instead of. And social media friends should be in addition to, never instead of real friends. And social media dating, that's just to get you to the part where you meet. If you never meet, that's not dating at all.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, let's do one more for dangerous habits. Overwhelming ourselves.
Yeah, I would say to people, look, you are a human being, not a human doing. You know, I have pets, and they sleep a lot. They have a bit of activity. They spend ages doing absolutely nothing, lying in the sun, having a wonderful life. I've spent a lot of time with tribes who do the same. They hunt, they cook, they hunt and gather, but they spend a lot of time sitting around the fire too and just being. And you're supposed to be and not do. And I think we've got this whole thing about, I'm busy, I'm so busy, that makes me important. I'm busy, busy, busy. You're actually like a battery, and a battery must be recharged. And I think we should all go, hey, you know, I'm lying on the sofa now, and I'm recharging like a battery. I've been to work, I've given a lot, and I'm going to come home and do nothing. And there's no guilt because I'm recharging. Like if I just kept charging my phone for 5 minutes here and there, it would keep dying. I use that phone, and then overnight I give it a rest, I give myself a rest, and I recharge it, and I recharge myself. So when you're feeling overwhelmed because you've taken on too much, don't feel guilty about doing nothing. Don't believe that you must be busy. But if you don't have any choice but have on too much because you're a parent with a career and maybe you're learning something new as well, decide it's okay. I've got this. This too will pass. I can write a book, raise a family, go to college, even work out. It's a lot, but I'm just doing this for now. This is not my life. It's just my life for this next year. So when you are in overwhelm, you can say, this is how I am today. This is not my life. This is just my week or even my weekend or maybe this day. Overwhelm is okay if you get it into perspective and decide, I can do this for now, but it's not forever. I can go to college and I am going to be studying for 3 years and it's a lot, but this too will pass. So overwhelm really gets you on what I call PPP, personal, pervasive, and permanent. And that really means that you think, oh, it's me, I can't cope. It's here all the time. And it's always going to be here all the time. If it's not permanent or pervasive, means going all the time. If it's not permanent, it's not, you can deal with overwhelm. So see it as temporary. You can do everything you can to lessen it. And don't be perfect. Hey, I could make a perfect dinner, but I can also just make this dinner. I could try to make my presentation perfect. I could go, you know, it's good enough right now. Overwhelm is this needing to be perfect. You're not supposed to be perfect. You're supposed to be a flawed human, having flawed relationships with flawed humans. It's the best you can ever be. It's great. So overwhelm comes from this drive to be perfect, and that drive is a lane that will take you to unhappiness, sadness and loneliness. To get out of that lane and get into the flawed lane, there's great company there and you'll be much, much happier.
I'm really glad you brought up those 3 Ps because I was hoping that you were going to cover it. And I'd love for you to just repeat that because I want my listeners to really understand that any problem is not really a problem if it doesn't fit in one of these 3 Ps, and it will help them reframe and kind of live a happier life. So if you could just stress that a bit.
So let's imagine you've got a really horrible boss or a very difficult client or indeed a very difficult teenager, and we go, this is ruining my life, it's killing me. For it to get you, it has to have 3 Ps. It has to be personal. But it's not personal. All teenagers tell their mothers they're awful. Your boss is horrible to everyone. It's not personal. Is it all pervasive? Not really. When you're at home having wonderful sex or having a nice dinner, is your boss in your house making you feel bad? No. Is it permanent? No. One day your boss will retire. You'll leave. Your difficult kid will leave and you'll wish they were back in your house. So if something isn't permanent, isn't all pervasive, meaning it's going on all the time, 24 hours a day, and it isn't personal, then it will hurt you less. So it's just a good way of looking at whatever's going on in your life. I've got all this work, it's killing me. Well, that's not permanent. You'll get through that work, and then you can say, I'm not ever going to take on that work, I'm going to learn to say no. So that's not permanent. It's not personal because the work isn't personal, and it's not all pervasive. You still get to sleep. And people say to me, I eat all day. I'm out of control. I eat non-stop. I say, really? Even when you're in the toilet? Well, no, not when I'm in the toilet. Do you sleep? Do you eat when you're sleeping? No, I don't eat when I'm sleeping. So you're not really an out-of-control train wreck eating 24 hours a day like you just said. No, but my legs are the size of a house. Really? Because you're in my house and you wouldn't have got through the door if your legs were the size of a house. So I just get people to really pay attention to their language and to stop putting themselves down. Big yourself up. Be nice to yourself and realize that most of our problems are not permanent, not personal. And guess what else? There's someone else's fantasy dream. There's someone on the I'd love your problem. I'd give anything to her husband with bad breath, a kid that left pants on the floor. I would love a baby that kept me up. I'd love to have that chance of giving a TED talk. I'd love to be in the traffic on the freeway going to a job that pays the bills. So the PPPs are good, but also to realize that your problem is someone else's fantasy, dream come true. And also, what would you have given for your problem 10 years ago? 10 years ago, you'd love to have had a kid that kept you up, a partner that challenged you, a job that stretched you. It's something that's actually good because it means you're growing and as a person, and that's always a good thing too.
Thank you for digging deep around that. Okay, as we close out, I heard you say many times that we should tell ourselves that we are enough. And you're very famous for a movement, I am enough. So talk to us. Why is that phrase so important? And why is that so much of the crux of the things that you teach?
Well, the common denominator of all of our issues, I can say, having been a therapist for so many years, all my adult life, the common denominator of all our issues is I'm not enough. I've worked with thousands and thousands of addicts, drug addicts, alcoholics, people who are addicted to food or self-harm. I've never met one who ever believed they were enough. You see, when you think you're not enough, you need more. If I'm not enough, I need more cake, more alcohol, more drugs, more shopping. I'm very needy. I need you to praise me because I'm not enough. But if I just take the knot and go, I am enough, then I don't need something else to fill me up. And so the not enoughness is an epidemic that's got worse and worse because we feel we're judged by, again, what we look like, how many followers we've got. Are we doing something worthy? And the not enoughness, society's really done a number on us. It's made women feel they've got to be supermodels. Mums feel they've got to be perfect. Men feel they've got to be earning a lot with a six-pack. And I think the media, magazines, and it's like when I used to watch Friends. Who knows a waitress that lives in Central Park? That was a great show, but that's just great. Waitresses don't live in Central Park. This is just not real. But we look at someone with a baby, just had a baby who's perfect. We look at people like the Kardashians and think, oh my God, but that's not real. And so when you compare yourself, you feel not enough. And the transition from I'm not enough to I'm enough is amazing. Because here's the thing. Imagine you start your day with I'm not enough. That's a thought. But that thought makes you feel inadequate, makes you feel sad, might make you feel angry. So you have a thought, you have a feeling, and then you have an action. The action you have from I'm not enough is often no action. I'm not going to take a risk. I'm not going to ask for that pay rise or ask that person out. So your thoughts create your feelings create your actions and your behaviors, and you justify them again. Well, of course I didn't take a risk because I'm not enough. take away the not, I am enough. Now you think, well, I'm enough. Well, that's a whole world of different feelings. I feel able to take risks. I feel good about myself. I feel worthy. I can ask someone out or ask for a pay rise. So now my behaviors change and my actions change, and I justify that because I'm enough. So thoughts create feelings, create behaviors, create actions, and they're justified by going back to the thought. Change the thought. It changes your entire life. And that's why I created the I'm Enough movement. And it's an amazing movement because people say all over the world, I just began to say that. And I was stunned by how it changed my life. I'd been depressed for years or anxious, or I started to say it. And in no time at all, I met someone. I'm now married. I managed to have a baby. I got a pay rise. I got the job of my dreams. It's a game changer, knowing you're enough. And if you want help, join the I'm Enough movement. Go to I'mEnough.com. We give away all these bracelets that say I'm enough. I have it on cushions, on fridges. I have it everywhere because it's not a word. It's a statement I let in. So tell yourself you're enough. Go to I'mEnough.com. I promise you, I guarantee it will actually change your life.
I love that. And the last question I ask all my guests on Young and Profiting is, what is your secret to profiting in life?
Well, I've got a new book coming out in October, and it's called Tell Yourself a Better Lie. And I guess that's one of my secrets. I realize that all my clients tell themselves lies. My job is killing me. This commute is killing me. My bum is the size of Los Angeles. I'm falling apart here. This is a lie. If you are prepared to lie to yourself, tell yourself a better lie. I'm smart. I'm amazing. I'm lovable. I matter. I've got something. I'm a good person. I'm significant. So I think, we all lie to ourselves. Oh, my life is a mess. I'm a hot mess. I'm a train wreck. It's just about understanding that your mind lets it in. So I think what stood me in very good stead is telling myself things that were probably seen as lies, starting off as that insecure kid who was asked to leave college and then saying, I'm smart, I matter, I am lovable, I'm worthy of a loving relationship, I'm worthy of someone adoring me, I'm worthy of earning a lot of money. That was a lie, but when I said it, it became true. I have an amazing marriage. I wouldn't have even, my life now, I couldn't have imagined that life when I was 17 or even 28. I couldn't have imagined having 2 homes and the life we have, the love we have, the impact we make on people. And that's all because I began to tell myself a better lie than the first lie, which is, I don't matter, I'm a geek, I'm stupid, can't even have a baby. That was the first lie, but I told myself a better lie, and it's an amazing thing.
That's awesome. Tell yourself a better lie. Where can our listeners go to find more about you and everything that you do, Marisa?
Well, if you go to marisapeer.com, we've got tons of free audios. We don't ask for your credit card. We have audios on wealth wiring, love wiring, health wiring, money blocks, love blocks. They're all free. If you would like to train in RTT and do what I do, and there's no background in therapy required, go to rtt.com. So rtt.com if you want to find a therapist or become me in a way, but a version of me doing what I do, because it is, I think, the best job in the world. So you can find me at marisapeer.com, rtt.com, and I'mEnough.com. And you can find my books on Amazon. You can find lots of my talks on YouTube and Instagram. And I'm so glad I was called Marisa Peer, because there's only one of me, which is good. I used to hate my name, but I love that now too, because I'm so glad my parents didn't call me Jane Smith. So Marisa Peer, you can find me anywhere.
And I have to say, just studying for this interview was so enjoyable because I just love hearing you talk. I love the things that you say. It's super positive. I just feel like it's so healthy for people to talk about these things, and it's not talked about enough. So thank you so much for your time and for going over. We'll put this out as a 2-part episode, and I think my audience is going to love it. Thank you so much, Marisa.
Thank you so much too. I've loved it. When you do what you love, you feel like you've never worked a day in your entire life. And I do work hard, but I also feel like I never work hard because I'm so lucky. I do what I love. And I love what I do, and I can tell by your voice that you do too.
Thanks, Marisa.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Young and Profiting Podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please write us a review or comment on your favorite platform. Nothing makes us happier than reading your reviews. We'd love to hear what you think about the show. And don't forget to share this podcast with your friends, family, and on social media. I always repost, reshare, and support those who support us. You can find me on Instagram at YAP with Hala or LinkedIn. Just search for my name. It's Hala Taha. Big thanks to the YAP team as always. This is Hala signing off.